Nerve picks up not long after the events from last time, where Aeryn is doing one of the things she's best at, pounding the crap out of something. Peacekeepers are bred for combat, and while she's primarily a combat pilot, she still knows how to kick 7 kinds of shit out of you. At the moment, though, she's only capable of kicking 4 kinds of shit, and dropping. It seems that while normally science fiction TV characters have Wolverine-like regeneration abilities between episodes, Aeryn had a severed nerve, and it must control an organ that regulates her body, because without it, toxins are building up and she'll die. The only option is a tissue graft from a compatible sebation, and the only place they could reach in time would be that top-secret military base the Commandos were trying to reach. For Crichton, it doesn't matter how stupid that sounds, even though everyone lays it out. Crichton's going to attempt a deception that briefly confused 4 battle-weary commandos on the most powerful and secure Peacekeeper base in the uncharted territories, attempt to determine who might be a compatible donor at said base, determine how to acquire a means to take the tissue back for the graft, and all without being detected. And if that works, maybe he can sort out that wormhole issue after supper.
Look, what's the difference what we want? She's dying. We must face reality here.
Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby.
The only sensible course of action is...
I'm sorry, Sparky. What are you saying?
is to do everything in our power to save Aeryn's life.
And I hate to say it, but Rigel's being an optimist. But John has got a lot of emotional baggage he's carrying around right now. He arrived out here a different person than what he's been beaten into over the past season. His boundless optimism is now tempered with the experience of how bad can get. But he still has a strong moral code, and he's just had someone take over his body and violate that to cold-bloodedly murder someone. Not to mention that Aeryn's injury probably wouldn't have happened if not for his plan. Throw in his romantic feelings towards her, and it's obvious there is no room for argument. He probably knows this will likely just get him killed too, but at this point, he's willing to risk his death if it means even a chance of preventing hers. Aeryn knows how suicidal this plan is, and while she tries to persuade him otherwise, she doesn't protest for long and asks about the human ritual before going off on such a mission, which Crichton says is a handshake and wishing good luck. But what's more interesting is the implication of the scene. Aeryn spent a good portion of this season reflecting on how all-around useless Crichton is in her opinion. Her actions here show that she's changed her opinion of him, especially interesting in light of what happened with Larac. It was implied that she had a bit of an attraction for him because he was a courageous man who wasn't afraid to take on a mission no matter how dangerous. Now Crichton, someone she's had romantic feelings for probably against her better judgment, starts to see in him the same thing, and that he'll do it for her. For her, it emphasizes the best of both worlds, the Peacekeeper courage in the face of likely death, and the boundless human sense of compassion. The handshake and the remark aren't just a gesture, it's a sign he's earned Aeryn's respect as a warrior. Chiana shows up as Crichton readies the Prowler. She doesn't come out and say it, but she probably feels guilty for unwittingly causing all this, so she gives Crichton the badge she pulled off Larac during their struggle and plans to come along, continuing that servant girl routine. Crichton also slips back into the Peacekeeper douchebag routine to avoid being shot down and lays on the too cool for school attitude on landing. Chiana quickly becomes the center of attention.
Does she give good value?
She has her moments.
What about him? He any good? That's Scorpius. We'll talk about him soon enough. On their way to their quarters, Crichton hits the first real snag, a DNA scan to verify his identity. Uh-oh. Well, luckily we have a plan for this situation, specifically prayer. The Hail Mary works, and Crichton somehow passes the scan. They soon discover how. The PK Tech Girl. We had met her in a previous episode called PK Tech Girl. She's a technician they found early in the season who had fallen for Crichton, so she didn't turn them over to the Peacekeepers. Seems she helped Crichton through the tester, and with her on their side, the only way that this could possibly be screwed up is horribly bad luck. Unfortunately, if you watch this show, you probably know that horribly bad luck happens for the Moya crew about 9 times out of 10. The 10th time, it's even worse. Aeryn's not doing so hot, but Rigel's come to check on her. And by check on her, I mean, of course, look to see what stuff he can pilfer when she's dead.
I resent your unfounded accusation. Furthermore, you have no possessions worth taking.
How inconsiderate.
Yes, how terribly inconsiderate.
Dargo respectfully shoos him off, to Aeryn's gratitude. As a warrior, she should die in battle, but failing that, she should die alone. Dargo's a Luxan warrior, so he should honor her request, but the nice thing about the Luxan code is the ounce of common sense that it employs, such as the fact that not everyone is cut out to be a fighter, and there's no shame in that. Dargo himself hopes to one day be a farmer, believe it or not. So instead, Dargo suggests using Moya to filter the toxins out of Aeryn's body and buy Crichton some more time. Plus, it involves treatment through bondage. Woohoo! PK Tech Girl has already accomplished the mission, giving Crichton everything he needs to save Aeryn's life. This is when it gets kind of awkward, as she's probably hoping to get some sweet affection from Crichton, who's only thinking of Aeryn. Oh, I'm sure we've all been there, right, guys? On his way out, Crichton has the misfortune of running across Scorpius, who can now get a good look at him. Scorpius' appearance isn't just for show. He's actually a hybrid, half Sebacean, half Scaran. The Scarans are the enemies of the Peacekeepers. That gimp outfit is actually a coolant suit because Sebaceans have no tolerance at all for heat, while Scarans actually have glands that produce huge amounts of heat. So half his body is essentially trying to kill the other half. All the time. As you can imagine, such a being is either going to be a half-mad animal, or the most disciplined and calculated mind in the uncharted territories, on a first-name basis with pain, and the will to travel from A to B in a straight line, no matter how many unfortunate people might be standing in that path. And guess what, Crichton? You now have his undivided attention. Under the circumstances, bladder release is permissible, and indeed encouraged.
On the other hand, you do look Sebacean, yet your energy signature is quite dissimilar.
Scorpius' dual nature allows him the ability to see the energy signatures of other beings, which he can normally use to tell if someone's lying or not. In Crichton's case, it's ferreted out the big lie, that he was even Sebacean. That's why he's in the Aurora chair, a device that's used to extract memories. From a behind-the-scenes standpoint, the chair was meant as a cost-saving measure, a way of doing a clip show and have it make sense. As often happens with Farscape, though, they got so into the other stuff that they were using to set up the chair that, in the end, the number of clips probably wouldn't even fill a commercial break. But you must admire that ability to do a clip show and make it an exceptional episode. On seeing the stuff about Crace, Scorpius begins to see what's happening.
I suspect our captain has turned renegade.
Crace has been hunting Crichton all season long. A Peacekeeper captain with a growing personal drive for revenge and all the resources that come with that, dedicated to hunting you down and killing you. How could things possibly get worse than that? Well, if you're Crichton, you just wait 10 minutes and it usually happens.
Necessary for creating a wormhole.
I don't remember that.
Since a wormhole's how he got here, Crichton spends his time studying them as much as he can in the hopes of finding or creating one to get back home. At one point, an alien race called the Ancients used the image of one to lure him in so that they could study whether or not Earth would welcome them in peaceful coexistence. They decided it wouldn't, but felt that Crichton was a good person, so what Scorpius has just discovered is a hidden memory, the secrets of wormholes planted in his mind so that it would gradually guide him subconsciously to the truth. They felt it was necessary for Crichton to develop the knowledge on his own, because if someone didn't, they wouldn't appreciate just what it was they had, how dangerous a thing it could be, to potentially pose a threat to the entire galaxy. Plus, the show would probably be over. As a sign of Crichton's awesome luck, the purpose of this base is to develop weapons to fight the Scarans. The intelligent virus was one possible path. Another is information they're getting from the Aurora chair, and another is wormholes. I'll discuss that more a bit next time, but just realize that Crichton has unwittingly walked in here with the secrets Scorpius has been working so hard to find. How do you think that's going to go down? Yep, lots and lots of time in the spinny chair. Still, you can take it, Crichton. It's not like the chair will be so intense it'll drive a man crazy.
My side, your side, my side, your side, my side, your side!
Okay, well, to be fair, I'm betting the man in the half-iron mask was a little round the bend when they started. Not that it did him any favors. Meanwhile, Aeryn's treatment is going pretty well. It's stopped her condition from worsening, so they can hold out indefinitely unless something happens with Moya. Anyway, something happens with Moya. To say our heroes are cursed would be underselling it. At least curses usually have a chance of being lifted in some way. You might remember that Moya is a living ship. Well, she's pregnant. In fact, she's very pregnant, so when there are muscular contractions, they have no choice but to remove Aeryn and hope that Crichton can get back in time. So for the full scale of just how bad things are, Aeryn's death is imminent. Moya's in the early stages of labor, meaning no escape from the system is possible. Crichton's locked up in a maximum security base being tortured for information, and Chiana and PK Tech Girl have holed up in an out-of-the-way place and hoping that no one will detect them. How can things possibly get worse?
Excuse me, sir. Captain Trace has arrived.
The arrival of your nemesis and mortal enemy, of course. After this, the angel Gabriel arrives to tell Crichton he's the only one God doesn't love. Scorpius has brought Crace here without any real concern about his dereliction of duty, or his pursuit of Moya, or his vendetta against Crichton for that matter. But he suspects that he can use Crace as leverage against Crichton so that he'll stop resisting the Aurora chair and give him the wormhole information. Crichton gets the info on where he stashed the tissue gizmo to Chiana, so she plans to get it back to Moya while PK Tech Girl creates a distraction. While they work that, Crace lies to Crichton that he's captured Moya and everyone else, but his ignorance of Aeryn's condition tips his hand, so Crichton's free to continue resisting. And with Chiana recovering the gizmo for Aeryn, things are actually starting to look up, at least a little bit.
Very good, Chiana.
Well, that's it. The only chance now is that the head of the base is really, really dumb. Oh, well, that'll do nicely. Thanks, Chief. You prefer regular or extra crispy? So with Uncle Owen out of the way, Chiana's free to get back and save Aeryn. Hooray! Happy ending, finally!
Crichton will tell us.
Good. Well, let's check out what happens to poor Crichton next week.
Danger. Danger, Will Robinson. Where's the chair?